Guys, I've talked about Conan on this channel a lot. I've told you how much I like him. I've told you what he means to me. I've told you how it feels. I've told you how, like, he might be my favorite comic book I've ever read. He might be one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I say one of them because books are pretty vast. He might be one of my favorite things ever. Like, there is something about Conan that grips and never lets go. The deeper you get into it, the more you understand it, the more it resonates with you. Like, I think it's a disservice to view Conan as this muscle-bound grotesque. Because he's not. And I don't know yet, but this body might be right. Conan's big, but Conan is often described like a panther. He is large muscle that can move quickly. He's been known to be able to draw his sword and end somebody in the instant before they can bring their sword fully down. That's fast. That's like anime samurai fast. He's been known to sneak and go across plane and whatnot without being noticed. He's a big dude, but he's like a panther. His muscle is built, it's compact, it's strong. He's a big dude with big thews, but if you mistake him for being a large, slow man, you're dead. You're dead before you even realize what happened. He's also not stupid. You're talking about a tactician here. You're talking about a man that was a thief. You're talking about a man that was a pirate. You're talking about a man that was a mercenary. You're talking about a man that was a straight sellsword. You're talking about a man that survived in the desert. Okay? He survived in the desert as the leader of an entire group of basically brigands. Like, you're talking about a man who fought his way to usurp the throne of Aquilonia, and then didn't just take a kingdom and become a tyrant, but became one of the greatest kings in its history. And he defended that throne multiple times. And not just because there were smarter guys around him that were able to tell him, okay, in order to do this, we're going to have to do some strategy now. No, you're talking about a man that knew strategy, that was smart, that understood how it worked, that saw life, that understood that there was both a greater thing above us, evil, there was evil that we could not understand in this world. There was magic that we could not understand in this world. There were superstitions that while he had often broke many of them himself, he still knew that he didn't know enough to single out everything that was possible. Like, that's a part of intelligence that's kind of hard to reach, even in today. There's so many people that think they know so much that they know everything, and you can't teach them anything. That's not Conan. You're talking about a man that enjoyed the simple pleasures of going into the bar, having a couple drinks, and listening to the music. Not just running in and having a bar fight. Conan is massively misunderstood. I honestly believe that. He's often one of the easiest things I can compare, and I'm not saying these two people are the same thing. I'm saying this is an easy comparison. The public persona of Conan is muscle-bound grotesque, big dumb barbarian man. Oftentimes when you see people playing barbarians in things like D&D, they're a big dumb guy. That's not what Conan is. Conan is intelligent enough to know what he knows and know what he doesn't know, and know when he needs advice from somebody else, or so on and so forth. That's a different kind of skill. Just like, but the public persona doesn't see that. Just like with Captain Kirk is looked at this womanizer, doing it with green alien women or whatever. That's not Captain Kirk. Watch Star Trek. Watch it. Like with your eyeballs and your ear holes. Watch it that way and understand that character. He is not what the public perception has created. That's a very, very different character. Very different. He is not that guy. What they did in the new movies with Captain Kirk, I wouldn't even say he's accurate necessarily. I get that he lived a different life, so you're looking at a different character, but that's what I'm saying, is the public perception affects things like this. And I think it's important every now and then to step back and realize one of the reasons it's had the effect on me that it has is because I've had time to view Conan, to read Conan, to know this material, and know that it's so much more than people make it. Inside right here, we got this really cool Frazetta card. This is just neat. It doesn't really necessarily tell us anything too crazy. It says we recommend applying gentle heat hair dryer to the tight joints before posing. This is especially helpful with colder environments, things of that nature. Carefully ease each joint into motion. Never force it. Simple step helps to prevent damage to ensure long-term posability. It's just like a little thing. They're telling you right off the bat, look, man, you paid real money for this figure, and we don't want to see you demolish it. I got to appreciate that for what it is. I really do. Because, like, how many times, I apologize, how many times have you bought something from one of these and it does break, or the leg pops or something like that? I see it all the time. In fact, crazy enough, now that I think about it, it happened to me with Tigra. It didn't happen with the second Tigra, but it happened with the first Tigra. And it's something that I did a couple of videos on that because that really killed me. I was not happy about that. Well, let's unbox him. Let's see him. That was remarkably easy. So, before we even get into it, I'm going to cover that part up. That's the Conan we're looking at. That is Frank Frazetta Conan. This is the figure that we just bought. So it's not comic Conan, okay? And it's not even necessarily book Conan, even though he did a lot of covers. This is a little more like the comic book. I mean, it's not perfectly accurate or anything, but you get the idea that we're looking at different things here. That's like one of these arguments that I've made about things like when they see the red Sonias and whatnot, and people immediately go, oh, that's not what she's supposed to look like. There have been many artists over many times, over a ridiculous amount of eras, for what it's worth, that have drawn these characters. This is a character that has existed since the 30s. So, like, he's gone through changes, and he's had different interpretations. The real kicker here is, does he feel right? And we're going to start determining that now. First off, he comes with this. That's a good axe, to be fair. I like this one-handed, just cleaving death machine. We have this fantasy battle axe with the dual sides. That's cool. That's hard, man. We have this shield right here, which I've already heard from a couple of people that sent me messages and warned me, be careful with the shield. Evidently, if you force this too much, not all of these were perfect, and a couple of the shields, this pops off, like the straps. If you force it, and this is too hard, or it wasn't applied perfectly, I've heard a lot of people that did not have a problem, but I've heard a couple people that did, so we're going to be careful about the shield when we play with it regardless. Just because I have heard stuff, so we're going to watch out for it, okay? The figure right now has open hands. He does come with expression hands. He does come with gripping hands, and slicing hands. These are slicing hands. They are up and down hands, not in and out joints. That's good. That's fantastic. We also have punch hands for punching, which, Conan has been known to do. We have a really cool knife, one that I believe actually, does this come out? It does. And because the paint is done the way it's done, it's kind of rough. It's silver, but it's kind of a rough, tarnishy look. I imagine that's done on purpose so that when we sheath it and we unsheath it over time, even if we kind of meld away some of it a little bit, it probably won't hurt the overall design. And it looks like there's a hook on here, probably that it can go on his belt. I doubt that it goes down by his boot, probably goes on his belt. That's pretty cool. We also have this arm brace right here that will go onto the figure. He comes with this sword right here. It's got a curve. I've heard people complain about this sword, saying that they would have preferred that this sword be a straight sword because Conan is known for having a straight sword. So here's my retort, and it's not like a huge one, but it is a bit of a retort. And this is the actual real chain that we'll use to hang it on the belt if we choose to do so. Here's my retort to the straight sword issue. Conan uses the weapons available to him at any given time, even if they're yours. They're not yours once he gets a hold of you. So, an assortment of weapons makes sense, and I don't hate any of these. Would I have preferred a straight blade sword? If we are being perfectly honest, yes. That's fair. But I have read many, many books and seen many, many artist depictions from comic books and artwork where he specifically uses scimitar-like blades. So it does not feel inaccurate to me to give him a curved sword. The curved blade does work for me just as much as the straight blade. So that's not something that's going to really affect me. It's not going to hurt my feelings in any way. I'm fine with it. We have the other hair right here, which is the helmet, which I've heard some people talk about the helmet. This helmet is accurate to the artwork that Frank Frazetta did. This is the helmet. This looks right. You're looking right there. That's it. I mean, as far as I am concerned, this is accurate. This is a good sell on me anyway. We have a face, an angry face, which I would argue could have been a little bit better had it actually been a screaming face. Right now we just have an angry face. A screaming face probably would have been very Conan the Barbarian as well, but I do not hate it. I think a serious face works good. So, we have covered everything that comes with Conan. Let's see Conan. Here he is, guys. This is the new Frazetta Icons Conan the Barbarian. And some of these issues that I was talking about is right here perfect. The public perception of Conan the Barbarian. These old figures are how people see Conan. Look at this. Look at this man. Like, look at this body cavity here. That is like how people see He-Man. Okay? He-Man is this ridiculously muscled figure. He's so unbelievably huge that he probably can't put his arms down. Like he's so buff. It's unnatural. And people prefer their He-Man to look that way. I don't. When the Masterverse line opened up and started producing figures, a lot of my early videos, when I talk about Masterverse, I liked the body designs of the early figures because I felt they were closer to real muscle people. Not like overblown muscle people. Not that these bodies don't necessarily exist, but like they don't exist for combat purposes, ever. This feels much more right. It looks more real to me. He's big, but there is a slenderness to him and a realness to the muscle in general that makes me feel like this is just so much better than the overblown, huge, ridiculous proportions that we get with a guy like this. I am curious about their size. This Conan is a... Well, hold on. They're about the exact same size. You could put these Conans together if you really wanted. Wonder Woman's probably bigger than you, isn't she? Could you argue that that makes sense? Could you argue that since she's an Amazon, does that make sense? I don't know. I just wanted to see, to be fair. I wanted to see how she looked. One character that I didn't even think about, maybe I'll have to go get her, or I'll have to do a short because I don't have her over here. Or do I? No, I do not have my Red Sonja anywhere around here. I think they've both made their way back to the main shelves. But this right here, this is really supposed to be around the bicep. I don't know if I can angle this, if it's a rubber material. It feels kind of like a rubber material. I don't know if I can get it. I'm going to try. I hope I don't pop this. No, it's fine. It worked. Yeah, I had to force it up there to get it to go, but that's really supposed to be around the bicep. So that's kind of cool. I'm being very careful because I'm not about to break this Conan. But he feels good. That's something to point out. That feels good. It did not feel tight. It did not feel like it was giving me any problems whatsoever. But we have a T-pose into that area. The arm goes up very easily. I'm experiencing no real problems there. The arm goes up very easily. We're experiencing no real problems there. We're going to turn that there so we get this full grip here. That is the level of bend that we are going to get from this Conan. He's got that big muscle. His arm does stop. He only gets the 90-degree angle. I prefer dual joints. I prefer it because as a person, my arms don't stop here. And even the buff guys that I know, I work with a couple of them, they can do this too. So when figures come out and they can't, it does bother me a little bit. I am willing to let it go because it looks like I've got a decent amount of movement. This is the extent of it, to be fair. But I think that I'm going to be able to make it work. And from the posing and whatnot that I've already seen online from other people, it should not be a problem. But it is something to bring up. If that's an issue for you, it's something to keep in mind. We have a decent amount of movement up in here. Like we got him, that's him down, that's back. His head isn't really going to look up right now because his hair is on. But he will look down. His hair comes off. That's how we swap. That's how we swap to different features. So you can have the helmet with the angry face or whatever, or you can have the helmet with this more just stoic face, and it won't cause anything. It won't be an issue for you. The Conan that we're going for down here is very much, they kind of used this design for Conan the Barbarian with Arnold. That's all very accurate to me. It looks like this pushes up. This is like an overhanging piece, so it's a floating piece, which means this could probably come off and you could basically have a naked bare buns Conan. Yes, he has Conan cheeks. He has Conan cheeks. So that's a thing. This hook right here is for the sword, and then as far as I am understanding, the other one, because I've heard a lot of people have had trouble with this, is that this kind of goes there, and then the other part of it, from what I understand, is where people are having trouble, because it's really supposed to like kind of go up and go around or whatever this and kind of hang, or go onto the belt and kind of hang, like right there. And I've heard a couple people having troubles with this. So what I saw online, because I'm actually having a little bit of trouble with it right now. Come on, come off of there. There. I've seen people go into here and go up into here, and I saw somebody that took like a little pin and they heated up a pin and they pushed it through, and then they hooked the sword onto that, and it looked like it was a good idea. I'll kind of look at it and kind of figure out what I want to do, or I'll kind of look at how other people have figured out how to do theirs. I'm sure that it's not going to be that big of a problem once I get into it, in all honesty. His legs, being careful here, a lot of movement here. We got a lot of movement here, but the more we lift the legs up like that, the more it's going to lift the loincloth, because it hangs. So be aware of that if you're doing any kind of posing or anything like that. And then for the first time in this line, they got the dual knee. That, to me, is better than the 90 degree. What we got with like Dark Wolf, where his knees stopped right here, that doesn't feel accurate to me. That feels like a person. A person can do this. You can lift your foot and pull it up. Okay, so very good on the knees. Now, if we could just get these arms, okay? If we could just get these arms, if you could just get the full, because this is a step in the right direction. I've enjoyed watching this line grow, because I have all of it. Like there's not a Frazetta icon I don't have, and that may change very soon. I am arguing with myself as to how I feel about John Carter of Mars. I kind of want it. But at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of John Carter of Mars. Like, I like it, but I don't know. You're talking about $90 figures. When you're talking about $90 figures, every little bit matters, including how much we like the material. So I don't know how I feel about it yet, because that's the next one coming out. I think the next one coming out is John Carter of Mars, and then from there, I think we go to Necron. Or we go from Necron and then John Carter of Mars. I'm not 100% sure. And I know there's another Conan coming out soon. It's going to scale alongside this and work with interchangeable parts, or at least that's what we were told, but it's not going to be part of this line. It's from a different company. So there's another Conan coming out that's going to be based on the current run of comic books, the Blackstone series stuff. That could be cool. In fact, who am I kidding? I want that. So yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking with a lot of that. Do I want Necron? Of course. Do I want John Carter? I don't know. If I don't get him, he will be the first and only piece from all of Frazetta Icons that I do not own. And Frazetta Icons, like I said, have done nothing but get better and better and better. I'm glad we waited for Conan. I'm serious about that. Because he feels like the best thing they have released so far. That's That's amazing. He really does feel like the best figure they have released. I mean, we've got the necklace and everything. This is amazing. I'm going to cover it up again. But, like, even if you look, that's the sword. So we're not, that's the sword and that's the knife. It's cool that this background, I'm going to use this background. I also put the background for my, when they released the Vampirella, I put the background over there as well. And I'm very curious, I'm very curious, I really am wondering if they will release a Red Sonja. And if they're allowed to do so, currently what they are doing is they're releasing figures that go along the lines of Frank Frazetta artwork. To my knowledge, Frank never directly drew Red Sonja on anything. I think there's a painting that is roughly referenced like Red Sonja. And I don't know realistically, it might be a retroactive thing. Like it's not actually Red Sonja, but now people kind of call it that. That's what I mean. Like history has kind of changed. I don't know that he actually ever drew her. Ever. And if he has no painting of her realistically, then I don't know what they would base a work from. And as of yet, Frazetta Icons has not stepped outside of Frazetta artwork. Yet. One could argue if they make a Red Sonja and they do the full bikini everything, they would have to step outside of the paintings and they'd have to step into comic book territory, and then they would be making what they believe he would have drawn her like. And that gets questionable. I don't know. I would be very interested to see them release a Red Sonja, because seeing from him, this is the best buck we've had, the best design we've got. He looks fantastic. He's done very, 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 very well. The best one of the entire line right now, without question. Does that mean that they're Red Sonja, being the third female in the line? If they get that far, would she be unbelievable? Will we get Deja? Is her name Daja? I've never heard it pronounced. I've only read it. So let's take the hair off. Last thing here. When you pull the hair off, you get bald Conan. And bald Conan likes to put a hat on. That's all these work. If you're talking about Dark Wolf, he had like chin plates. That's the way he worked. But most of the others in the line, Tigra and characters of that nature, they had a couple of heads, and this is exactly how they worked. You took that off, and then you placed that on. And then that's how you kind of did that. And you got to line it back up and everything. Make sure you got it right when you put it on. There. Very cool. Like, very, very cool. I dropped it again. I'm having a little trouble with the hair. Let me figure out how this lines up exactly. There, I think I've got it. Found it. Took me a second. That's another reason I like to do these live the way that I do, is because it takes a while for me to how do I put this? I like these being as live as they are because I like these to be first impressions with real figures. Like, with a review, somebody's already had a couple hours with something. They've already been able to point out flaws and tell you what they think and blah, 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 and they got a much more in-depth thing. I very much like this first impression, first ideas. If I see problems right away, they're probably big problems. If I don't see the problems, I haven't had time to nitpick yet. How's it make me feel? Why does it work? Is it good? Things of that nature. What does it bring to mind? First things. What parts am I finding difficult when I swap things out or I try to put something on? I think this is all important stuff. And I think that you lose that in reviews because they've already had time with it. They're already playing with it. This is a fantastic Conan. I already know that he scales very, very well next to Loose Collector Red Sonja. So if you have a Loose Collector Red Sonja or you want one, and you've got this Conan and you want a Red Sonja, she scales remarkably well to him. I don't know in terms of the Epic Hacks Red Sonja. I will probably do a short later on in order to kind of look at that. But that's what I've got right now. Well, just for the sake of, because I'm not mistaken, just for the sake of, let's see. Oh, turn that. Okay, I see what people are talking about. The shield. And maybe this is a different argument altogether. Maybe I should do this. Get the hand under it. Okay. The shield is going to be a bit of a problem. So before we get out of here, careful with the shield. I'm going to heat this up before I do anything with it. I am not about to even test the water of screwing something up that is, 1, a Conan figure, and 2, cost $90, and 3, is becoming already difficult to find. It is sold out on many different places. I'm not saying you can't find one. I'm saying a lot of places are sold out. And I would rather not take the chance of having something bust. I wouldn't want that. I don't need to test out swords and everything else. This is a fantastic figure. To me, well worth it. Easily better than the Super 7 Conan. Easily. And I would argue this is hard to determine, but because of his size, and I know that sounds like I'm being very particular, and I am. Because of his size, I kind of prefer him to the Mezco. Currently. I have not set them side by side or taken them through their paces, so that opinion could very well change. But at first glance, I do like him to be this size. I like him to be bigger, and I like him to be alongside the other figures that are about this size, and I think that he'll work well with all my other barbarian stuff. Now that could change as I pick up different characters from different lines and different sizes and things of that nature. We'll see. But for right now, that figure is fantastic.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.